Welcome to the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Podcast, episode 68. My name is Alina Warwick, and today we have Yuting Su on the show. But before we continue with this episode, if you're listening to the show and it brings you value, please share some love by subscribing and leaving a review wherever you're listening to this podcast.
And I actually started the idea during my thesis year in USC. So back then, the product is more like a research and experiment into combining like different medium together, combining physical and digital gameplay together. But basically, I created a prototype during my thesis year, and people loved it. Like got selected in a few awards.
First of all, I wanted to say thank you to Yuting for taking my call while being overseas in Taiwan. I'm so honored to have this conversation with you, and taking a call overseas is definitely appreciated. Yuting is originally from Taiwan, and she came to the States when she was 25 years old to study on a master's program. Yuting merely wanted to come to the States to get her master's degree and go back home to Taiwan. She already had a master's degree in medical informatics when she came to University of Southern California to get another master's degree in game and interactive media and design. But when she launched a prototype during her thesis in school, it completely took off. She launched a product called Octobo, which is the world's first soft robot that teaches ABCs, spelling, rhythm, and the foundations of STEM education. She saw a drastic need for her prototype, and the plan to go back home quickly changed. She launched her company Thinker Tinker while she was pregnant and right after graduating at USC. Yuting was also featured in Forbes 30 Under 30. So let's hear all about her journey and how she launched this amazing educational interactive toy for kids. So let's dive right in. All right, Yuting, thank you so much for coming on the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Podcast. I truly appreciate your time, and I'm super excited to hear all about your journey. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about your immigrant journey. Tell us where you're from and when did you come to the United States?
So I'm originally from Taiwan, and I came to the States about 8 years ago.
Okay. And how old were you when you came to the United States?
I was 25.
25 years old. Great.
Mm-hmm.
So, Yuting, what was it like growing up? Did you know that you will end up in United States when you are going to grow up? Was that always your dream?
Well, yes and no. I think that I always planned to maybe get my master's in the States, but I was planning to go back to Taiwan because all of my family is here in Taiwan. And when I was young, like I didn't know what's possible like out there in the States. So my original planning was just like get my degree, and then I will come back to Taiwan and, like find a career here. Just to share a little bit more about my background. So I actually studied in med school, and then I got my first master's in medical informatics in Taiwan. And, like my career path is, like I wanted to work in the health industry. Like I was planning to be a researcher or a professor. So that's really different than being like an entrepreneur. So definitely, where I landed here, it's such an unexpected, but I would say it's a surprising journey for me.
So you got your master's in Taiwan, and what did you get your master's in again?
It's in medical informatics. So basically, we create, applications. Well, there's different focus for informatics, but, it ranged from, telehealth to mobile health to like image recognitions and, different things in the medical field. But for my focus, I was in the mobile health lab. So back then I was creating like apps for patients and doctors to, to gamify their experience and give them, like empower them to better manage their health record.
Oh, got it. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. So then after you graduated, did you apply for schools in the United States to continue your education here?
Yeah, I did. So A little backstory. So I did a lot of field studies back in my year in the medical informatics. And I noticed that, like gameplay and using games as a intervention is a great medium for like encouraging people to explore their potentials. A lot of times when we ask people to do a task that they're either bored or they're reluctant to do, but if we add a little bit gameplay in it, like the situation is totally different. So that made me look into the field of game design. Like I feel like game is not just a game, but it can be a powerful tool for people like and applied to different industry. I started to look into what are the different like programs in the states that offers like such like discipline that I can like further like improve myself. And I found that in like USC has a lab that is doing games for health. So I applied to it and I got in. So I moved to the States to pursue my MFA in interactive media and games.
University of Southern California?
Uh-huh.
Got it. Okay. And did you apply to any other schools outside of the United States, or United States was your only focus?
US is my only focus because I actually like stayed in the States over my kindergarten year. So my like 2 years when I was like 4 to 6 years old. My father was in the States studying his master's. So I got the chance to like stayed here and got my the early day studies in the States. So, like US is also feels like familiar to me. Like I comparing to other countries, I feel like, US I have like some connection to the US and like I also have like a few friends also like come to the States and study. So, when I like look into the programs, the US is my top priority.
So you had a couple of friends that were already in California when you came to the United States.
Oh yes, uh-huh.
So your English is very well. Did you know English before you came when you were 25 years old?
Yeah, yeah. So like I said, like I actually lived in the States for 2 years when I was like 4 to 6. Well, it's very early, but I think that gave me a good foundation of like learning English. And like in Taiwan, starting I always have like an English tutor over my elementary school years. And then starting from junior high, which is like seventh grade, English is one of the language like in the school curriculum. So we started to study English like pretty early on.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the struggles that you had to go through as a student at
Mhm.
25 years old in California.
The culture is really different. So there's a lot of a culture shock, and it's just like very different, like in so many different.
Yeah.
And so, like I moved to the States like 2 weeks like before the school starts. So that means, like I need to get my housing, know where to get groceries, and I need to learn how to drive. Especially in LA, it's like we have to drive. And even though I have my driver's license in Taiwan, but because Taiwan is like very convenient, like in terms of every kind of public transportations, so I don't really need to get my hands on like driving a car. And but in like when I moved to LA, it's like okay, I need to drive, and then I need to go on the highway, and it's such like it's very difficult. I would say like one of my relatives like helped me like found a place in St. Gabriel, and St. Gabriel is like an hour and a half from USC. I didn't know that before I
Okay.
moved there. It's just like okay, like I need to go from like I don't need to drive to I need to drive 3 hours back and forth from school to home, and that was
Wow.
a big struggle for me to like learn how to drive, get my driver's license, and start driving to school. So like now it's still like the image of my first time like driving on the highway is like I still remember. I was like my heart is pounding. It's like oh my god, I'm going on the highway, but but I think like it's a good story, and I always use this like as an example of like even in work or when you overcome any struggle, it's like you just have to drive on the highway. And then once you're on the
Yeah.
highway, like it will lead you to different places a lot faster.
Yeah, I love that analogy. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, okay, so you got your MFA and you said you wanted to go back to Taiwan. What happened after you graduated?
So my company, our flagship product is smart plush robot companion called Octobo, and I actually started the idea during my thesis year in USC. So back then, and the product is more like a research and experiment into combining like different medium together, combining physical and digital gameplay together, which we can talk about that later. But basically, I
Uh-huh.
created a prototype during my thesis year, and people loved it. Like got selected in a few awards, and like showcased it in a few conferences, and I can see people are loving the product. And I put
Wow.
a lot of the love and passion in it, and this is something I don't really wanted to let go. So after I graduated, I was thinking, maybe this is a good opportunity for me to explore how I can really launch this as a product into the market. So there's like more people can have their hands on it. Like the start when I created the product, it was actually like I was like pregnant at that time. So when I created,
Oh,
yeah,
good.
and when I created this product, I was like part of it. Like, of course, I'm passionate about this field, but at the same time, I wanted to create something meaningful, something unique for my kid. And as the people are loving it, I feel like this is something that I can bring to the world. So, such application can benefit, more families. So considering the market and the industry, like the media, entertainment, the gaming industry is definitely a lot more like mature, like in the States comparing
Mhm.
in Taiwan. So I
Mhm.
think like after a few consideration, I decided to stay and grow my company here.
Okay, so normally when people come out here to study, they're on student visas.
Mhm.
What happened? Were you on a student visa, and what happened if it did expire? What
Mhm,
happened
mhm.
with the immigration process?
Yeah, so my husband is actually a citizen, so solved
Oh,
a lot
got
of
it.
problems, and
Yes, that does. Got it. Okay. Okay, cool. So you never went to get like a corporate job after you graduated. You kind of just started while you were working on your thesis. And then after you graduated, you launched your company.
Mhm. So I would say between my masters and during my time in Taiwan, I did like work for bigger organizations. And so my first master, I work in the industry first, and then I switched to like part time in school. So I used my free times, like evening times, to study my first masters. So I do have some like corporate experience before I got my MFA. But yeah, like after I graduated, my first job, I graduated from my MFA, my first job is my own company.
Wow, that's awesome. Okay, so and that's when you launched Thinker Tinker, is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about the company and who do you guys serve and what kind of products you sell. Tell us a little bit more about your company.
So yeah, Thinker Tinker, my company is a ed tech startup. We create toys and games for kids and family that seamless integrate physical and digital play experience. We wanted to transform screen time into a meaningful learning time that is less cuddly, it's comforting, and like there's a character that people can actually interact with. So our flagship product, which I think we talked a little bit earlier, is the Octobo. So Octobo is a character that you can interact with, but you can connect Octobo with your phone or tablet, and there's an opening in front of the plush space, so you can slide in your mobile device, and Octobo will like comes to life and start interacting with you. There's also different sensors inside the plush robot, so it can like detect kids' interaction in real time. So all of their interaction is like personalized in a way that kids in different ages and with like different level of learning can trigger a different gameplay and different feedback. So Octobo is not just like a learning robot that is like feeding you with like videos or content. It's a real character that you can interact with, and we wanted to create like a social robot that can also be your learning companion, your learning buddy. So Octobo is our first product, and under that product line, there's storybooks, there's like interactive like accessories that you can use to expand your experience with Octobo. And then we're also working with Universal DreamWorks in a new like app experience that is featuring their Trolls franchise.
So I'm looking at your website. Octobo is a really beautiful octopus, a kind of big blue, big one-eyed octopus. It's really cool. And I love seeing all the pictures with the kids and the grandparents too, being interacting with this Octobo. So is this, you guys have an app and this product and then a couple of storybooks and a couple of other products. Is that
Mm-hmm.
correct?
Yeah. So just to add a little bit on it, like the Octobo experience combines the like the plush octopus like robot controller. So you can think of it like a controller for kids, but it's just like in the form of like a plush toy. And then our apps. So
Yeah.
think of like Nintendo Switch. Like you purchase the hardware, but it's like a controller. But then you can download multiple games to play with that controller. So Octobo is in the same model. Like the plushed character Octobo is the controller, but then there's different apps on the app stores that you can download to play with Octobo like differently. So far, we have 3 different apps like in App Store, and then coming along with the apps, there's also storybooks that like inviting kids to go on different journey with Octobo. And then there's also like accessories, interactive accessories that you can use. So we wanted to create an like embodied learning experience. So comparing to kids
Mhm.
like just like staring at screens, there's a lot more that we can do to incorporate like the full sensory experience while still getting all of the benefits from the digital apps and digital like screen time.
Yeah, and I absolutely love the concept because you're totally right. Kids these days are just stuck watching a bunch of random YouTube videos or cartoons all day on their iPads or on the TV. But it seems like, this Octobo is teaching shapes, patterns, spelling games, rhythm, coordination. It's doing a lot more learning and active things to make the brains move a little bit more than just staring at a screen. So I absolutely love the concept. So, Yuting, I wanted to ask you what are some things that you did in the very beginning stages? So, you worked on it during school. How did you get it launched and off the
Mm-hmm.
ground? Did you go to Google? Did you go to YouTube? What are the steps that you took to get your business launched?
So at first, I will say the first year is all about looking into like how possible to manufacture a product like this. I would say Octobo's concept is very unique in a way that there's no existing module that we can just pull from in the market. So, it will be
Mhm.
a lot easier if we can do that, just find a module, reskin it, and then we launch it. But for Octobo, we actually need to start from scratch, starting from, finding a factory and looking into what type of sensors that we need. Also, we need to redesign the plush toy for manufacturing. Like the prototype that I created during my thesis year is all handmade. Like
Wow.
it's pretty crazy, and like I even had
I would love to see pictures of that prototype.
I think we should have like an image of that like on our website. But anyway, I even handmade the sensors. I was like looking at tutorials like online, and learn how to make capacitive like sensors. So it's really a handmade model. But of course, you couldn't like launch a product like that. It will cost like thousands of dollars to
Yeah.
handmade like every product. So the first step for us is, okay, how do we change this prototype into something that is manufacturable? Like the first year, luckily, like now tech and remote working is like so convenient. So like the first year of the company is pretty much like just myself, and I stay at home. I do a lot of Google research, calling a lot of factories, but I actually spend a lot of time just like visiting the factories. Like we source factories from the States and Taiwan and China, and just to see like who can be our best like partner in doing this. Like at first it wasn't too big of a deal. It's very much just like my time putting in this and a lot of travels. And then, once we realized, okay, yeah, this is something that is doable, then we started to look into, how do we, fund the idea. At first, we bootstrapped the company to get it to a stage that like it's crowdfundable. So actually, Octobo's first like a public announcement is on Kickstarter. So we created like the first prototype, and then we got on like Kickstarter. And luckily people like are interested in this product, and we successfully crowdfunded the production for the plush toy. And then after the crowdfunding success, we got into the Techstars accelerator, and that is really a turning point of the company. So the Techstars program that we got in is a corporate program with Comcast. So, through the program, we got fundings from both, Comcast and Techstars, and that's sort of like took out the company, and then like we raised our seed round after that.
Got it. Okay. And how long did all of that take? Did you say that was the initial year?
No, that was like 2 years, 2.5 years
2 years.
in. Like the first year is more on me, looking into like a manufacturing,
Yeah.
things. And then, the second year is like preparing for the crowd.
Raising your funds.
Yeah, and well, I think at first like, we didn't really think of like raising, because for like an early company, it's really hard to raise any capital. So our option is more on bootstrapping the company, and maybe getting into a accelerator program. So like accelerator program, normally they will give you like some fundings and some training. So like I think for us, well, I would say like for me, because my background is more in research and like design, I would say, like it's more on the product side. So I
Mhm.
definitely need some help in on the business side. Comparing to a lot of the founders, like they have like an MBA. I like that is the area that I think I really need a lot of support in. So like early on, I think joining an accelerator program is like part of the plan for the company. So we put in applications to like a few ones, and like Techstars is the one we end up like choosing to go, because they have like a really good program in getting the founders like ready, or like helping the founders become like a better founder. Yeah, like there's just a lot of different accelerator out there, and like different accelerator have like different focus, like different strength. And the thing I love about Techstars is like it's first it's like a international program. Like they have programs like worldwide. They have like a great community, and they also have a very solid program to bring you up in speed to understand everything around how to run the company. That all happens in, I would say, like in the second year to the third year of the company.
Okay. And how long did it take to see some real traction and getting sales in and customers in? How long did that take you? How long was that process?
A good thing about crowdfunding is that you can use that to validate the market. We run the crowdfunding campaign in the second year of the company when we only have like a prototype. But I think the upside of that is we are able to see traction within 2 months. Like normally a campaign
Oh,
run
wow.
for from like 30 to 60 days. And I think we had our crowdfunding about like 45 days, like around that. And, we raised enough fund
Uh huh.
to know that this is an idea that we can continue on. And especially for hardware products,
Hmm.
like a lot of capital is going to be locked in inventory and in manufacturing. Like getting an idea of some traction and like market interest is very important because otherwise,
Hmm.
you will be locked by a lot of inventories in your storage room, and then you don't know how
And no one's gonna buy
it
it.
exactly.
Yeah. No, that's really smart. So do you mind if I ask you how much money you guys raised?
Yeah, so we raised about $700,000 as our seed round,
Okay, and what about the crowdfunding? How much did that bring in?
76K.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay, so I do want to ask you, and I want to go back to the process of when you were looking for manufacturers. I want to know how many rejections did you get from the different manufacturers until someone said yes?
So it's not a process of like they reject us. It's more like we reject them, or we pick the best manufacturers because we're paying them to manufacture it. So it's not like looking for venture like VCs.
Got it.
Like for VCs, like we got like a lot of rejections, but
Yeah.
for manufacturers, it's more like shopping around to find the factory that that is like is good in communicating. They have like a solid production line. They have a good supply chain, and also like getting a lot of quotes from them and pick the one that has the best price. So yeah, like for factories, especially the factories in China, you really do need to visit the factory itself because a lot of times it's going to be hard to see by just like their website or like the product. You have to really go see how they manage the whole manufacturing process and how do they like manage the communication because like the companies is in the US, so we're not able to visit the factory every week. So we needed to make sure our manufacturing partner is someone that we can trust that even we manage from the US, they can still deliver with high quality and in time.
And did you find a manufacturer that also like drop ships it for you guys as well to the customers?
No, like we always planned to do the fulfillment ourselves. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
only the first batch was like shipped directly from China. The rest we shipped out from our storage in the States.
And then so who handles that for you guys?
We do it ourselves.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it. And so did you find a business partner to launch this or were you doing this all by yourself because I'm hearing you mentioned we a couple of times.
I think I refer to we more like the team. Like I always love to
Okay.
involve the team, but I'm a solo founder.
Got it. Okay. Well, congratulations on that. And Yuting, how old were you when you started your company?
I was 28.
28 years old. You're starting this all brand new. Did you have any mentors that helped you out at all?
I was in like the TechStars program. It's just like I would recommend like everyone give it a try for TechStars because it like matched us to a lot of like good mentors in the industry. There's a few mentors I still like even though like the program was in 2018, like now it's like 3 years in, but I still keep in good relationship with my mentors and like have conversations with them every now and then.
Got it. And this is the one through Comcast you mentioned, right?
Comcast and TechStars, yeah.
Okay, got it. So I'll find the links from you offline. I'll put them in the show notes for our listeners to take a look at and get that going if they're interested. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know it's going to be beneficial for a lot of listeners listening because we're always looking for mentors. We're always looking for partners and for someone to help us and to guide us. And if there's a program that is willing to do that and willing to connect us in different spheres of the entrepreneur journey. That is absolutely something that is so, so powerful in the entrepreneurial journey. So thank you so much for sharing that. I wanted to ask you, what about marketing? Are you doing any Facebook ads, Google ads, anything? How are you
Mhm.
building your clientele and your traction?
Yeah, so like Facebook and Google Ads are our main focus. We're still on the path of like figuring out the magic of marketing.
Okay.
So yeah, like currently the majority of our sales like coming from Facebook ads, but we're looking into if there's any like other channels. I would say like we're still on the path of looking into different channels of sales. And I would say like COVID actually like impacted a lot because yes, last year we were planning to look into like retail, like Toys R Us was coming back, and I had a few conversation with them, and like everything was planned, but then it's all impacted by COVID, and then now I think like retail is facing a very challenging time. Hopefully, it will come back like later this year, but so far we're just keeping everything on e-commerce. So that is our current focus for now.
You're saying Google ads and Facebook ads is what working for you guys right now.
Hmm.
Got it. Okay. And at what point did you decide to hire employees, to hire your staff and build your team?
Yeah, it's after like we raised our seed round. Yeah, like the consideration is more like, how fast we want to grow the company. So, after we raise our seed round, when we know that, like now we have the resource to like develop both the company and the product in a faster speed. And that is the time that we realize that we need more people joining the team.
Okay. So this is going to be the second year in your business development,
Yeah, I would say it's about the third
third
year
year.
because on the second year, yeah, like you can think of like the first year is like manufacturing, the second year is about joining the accelerator program, the crowdfunding, and the third year is about the year that we started to grow.
Okay. So, Yuting, I wanted to ask how do you reinvest in yourself to keep up to date with your industry? Are you constantly looking at news or reading books? What types of things do you do to keep up to date with your industry?
Yeah, so I like sign up to a few like newsletters. I was like different industry is different. So, like in the toy space, like there's a few, newsletters and also, through like Techstars, like through, some like Slack channels that I was in, some like female founders group. And also like on Facebook, there's a lot of, like entrepreneur, like founders group. There's not really a channel that I will, keep like looking up, but more like in a way that I sign myself up to multiple channels, and whenever there's a news, I will just like receive them organically.
Hmm.
And of course, for books that like whenever that I encounter with like someone recommended, a book, then I will like pick them up. I read a lot. I think that is one of my what's like my hobby.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it's reading. So like I don't like treat like reading as like a work, but more like I just like pick up like whatever that is available and like can just organically, I got a lot of like informations and those like keeping me like on top of things.
Yeah, yeah, and staying creative. That's awesome. And if someone can just pay us to read books all day, please sign us up. Because I'm totally with you. Reading books is a hobby. It's also an addiction of mine. I can just pick up a book and
Mhm.
just get so glued to it, but I know there's a lot of things that need to get done throughout the day.
Yeah, I recently invested in like an ebook reader
Nice.
because I was like hesitant in getting an ebook reader for like a very long time because I love the texture of a physical book.
Right.
Like the feeling of actually flipping the book, but like an ebook reader is just like so convenient.
Yeah.
like it's hard to, and they actually like increase the efficiency of me like reading books because I can carry it like everywhere
Yeah.
and I can just like pick it up. So yeah,
And
like
so which one
I would
did you
recommend like an ebook reader.
Yeah, which one did you get?
I got like Kobo. So I was looking into the Amazon
Yeah.
Kindle, but then I invested in a Kobo reader. So I think it's I'm not
Kobo.
Kobo. So it's a Japanese brand. Um,
Oh, okay.
and The good thing about Kobo book is like it has a library of Chinese book and like books in like different languages. So because
Nice.
like for Amazon, Kindle is more limited to whatever Amazon provides, but like, sometimes I wanted to read Chinese books
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. My husband's all about Kindle, and I'm still carrying the physical books around.
Oh,
I'm not there yet, but maybe I will get there. So, Yuting, I wanted to switch gears and I wanted to talk about some of the mistakes and failures that we've made. So, there's always a story behind the mistakes that we make, but is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners where you saw a positive shift after implementing new things?
yes, I will say that, like a startup journey is, like try a lot of things and fail fast because we learn a lot of things through failure. And, I will encourage everyone to keep trying. And even if it fails, like it doesn't matter. So we failed like I can't like remember how many times that we failed and like how many different like wrong decisions that I made. But like as long as you fail fast and you realize what's not working and you adjust your gear like right after, I think it's like all of the experience like worth it. Yeah, like there's not like a specific examples I can give because I feel like it's just like a lot. I don't really keep track.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's
like I think
okay.
the most important thing is you don't stick with a failure or you just know when to stop. I think like learning when to stop it's very important, especially as a like entrepreneur. A lot of times we are doing something that we're really passionate about, and it's hard to let go. So I also took a lot of times to learn this
Mhm.
because it's just like, okay, I feel like it's like kind of like gambling, It's like I feel like I just continue and then I will win the next time. But it's like it's not. So of course, like sometimes we need to be persistent, but like a lot of times is you keep trying, and fail fast, just adjust from there.
Yes. Yes, I love it. Keep trying and fail fast. I love it. So, Yuting, what does the American dream mean to you?
So to be honest, I will say I don't really have an American dream, but
What?
no, but like I will say like it's not like an American dream. It's just like it's like an American everyday life. So
Yeah.
for for me, it's like like at first like I didn't like came to the States because I know that I want to start a company here. So I would say like my American dream is different. Like maybe it's like another more realistic version of dream than like having like a high expectation like upfront, So yes, like I still have a dream, but it's more like just adapt myself in a new place, a new country, and then now the company is like growing in the States. I think that is my version of dream. It's, like the company, the life, and how do I make an impact for the world. I would say like initially I thought, after a few years, I will go back. And so it's definitely not what I originally planned compared to, maybe a lot of people are, like this is their like their focus. I think for me it's more like, I didn't set this as part of my goal, but always is like for me, it's like okay, I want to do something different, and America just happens to be the best place for what I'm passionate in and what I wanted like to do what I wanted to do.
You mentioned that you were starting your company while you were pregnant. So tell me a little bit about the journey of having a newborn, running this, traveling overseas to meet the
Mhm.
manufacturers. How did you do all that?
It's just a very crazy time. Well, I, like for every mompreneurs, it's just like being a parent just taught us to be very efficient in time, like to be on top of time management. But before I have kids, like, oh, I can stay up late. I know I can, like sleep in the other day, like I have full control of my time. But like being a mom, that means, my time needs to schedule around the kids.
Yeah.
And then, that's just taught me to, seek any like possible time that is available to complete my work. And I think like think of the startup journey differently. It's like it also provides me a flexibility to work around the schedules. Like for a corporate job, you have to be in the office, 9 to 5 or even longer. Like running the my own company, it's just like I still put in a lot of time, but I have a better control of my work hours. So I work, early in the morning till like very late at night. But like during the daytime, I can come in and out to take care of my family stuff.
Mhm.
So I think that's also like a benefit in working, like starting your own company and doing your own thing.
I love it. Awesome. And I want to end the show with this last question. What are some things you would advise the next aspiring immigrant that wants to start their own business? And I know you've mentioned so many things. Are there any other things you would advise for the next aspiring immigrant that wants to start their own business?
Yes, I will say is like do not afraid to, just like pick whatever available and just, get started. I see a lot of people have a lot of great ideas, but they are trapped by like their ideas. Like they don't know which one to pick. And then they just like sit on all of the ideas, like for a long time and miss the best opportunity to launch a business. Like we always have a lot of ideas. We have, like a lot of options. But if you just like sit on them, then it will never happen. So of course you need
Hmm.
to evaluate, which one is the best, but do that fast. And once you do that, just move forward. And again, you'll fail fast. If that doesn't work out, at least you tried, and you can like start again with another one. And that is always better than just like sitting on top of the ideas and do nothing. you know
Yeah.
so I will always like encourage people to just move forward. Just start your first step out, and then just see how it goes.
Yeah. So, so powerful. What an amazing journey you've had, Yuting, coming from Taiwan, starting a startup company at 28 years old while being pregnant and an immigrant. It's just so amazing to hear your journey. I'm so honored to share your story, and it's going to inspire so many immigrants listening. So, thank you so much for your time, and I truly appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you. I really enjoyed the conversation and happy to share my experience with everyone.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If there are any links that were mentioned in this episode, make sure to check them out on my website under this episode to find all the links conveniently located in the show notes. I just wanted to ask for a quick favor if you could please leave a review wherever you're at listening to this podcast. Also, if you're an immigrant entrepreneur and would love to be on my podcast, please email me and we'll get connected. I'll see you guys all next time for another exciting and impactful episode. Take care.